On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, Mildred's secret to a long, happy life.
Being horny.
Or following your heart.
Whatever. Let's do this.
Episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we've got season 11, episode 11, Into the Mystic.
11. It's an angel number.
It is, or something.
With all the angels in this. Isn't that great? Look at me making supernatural references.
Oh, look at you. Mm-hmm.
What have you been up to?
What have I done? I don't know. No, we had they launched a new chapter of Women in Music in the city of Dallas, which is kind of cool. It's an international organization, and Dallas didn't have a chapter, which is weird because it's a pretty big city. But so I went to the launch party for that, and then we did. What did we do? Oh, we had family birthdays, so we went to and ate at the Meat Ninjas, aka Brazilian Steakhouse, Chama Gaucha. That one, anyways, with my with my boys for their birthday.
That is fun. Everyone loves
and my mom got a new cat,
and that is very important. That new cat is Violet. Is adorable.
She is. So yeah, I don't know. It's stuff like that going on. I feel like there was something else, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I had a bad dental day, so I don't want to talk about it.
Aww.
Stupid. But anyways, how about you?
I don't know. Unfortunately, my plans, I'm not allowed to have fun anymore, which is I just pretty much think every time I try and schedule fun, then the world is no, you must not. So I was unable to go to Austin for the Supernatural convention. So I heard it was a good time. It seems like everybody enjoyed barbecue, which is y'all very stereotyping Texas, but whatever. But it seems like it was a good thing. They did say so far, Austin is not on the schedule of things for creation for 2026. But in the email about the convention this weekend, it did say, see you next year, Austin. So I'm not sure if they just haven't put it on there yet or not.
Maybe they're still negotiating a location or dates or something.
Something like that, hopefully. So that made me feel better seeing the see you next year, Austin. So yeah, I'm bummed that we missed it this year, but we'll see it next year. And it'll probably be as we're wrapping this up and figuring out what the hell to do with their lives when we get a Tuesday back.
What is that? What are we going to do?
I don't know. There's still a season of the reboot, and then by then they may have actually rebooted everything. So
that's all true.
Supernatural will never end, and I believe that's something Jim Beaver said, and Misha said, and probably a lot of other people. So I think beyond that is just being the Texas Snow White that I am. So this week we've had the deer coming up for me. The deer just demanding food now, like they do, and little foxes are just hanging around being baby foxes. I am apparently a frog mother. I did get them some frog. I found a bunch of frogs in my skimmer, and I saved about half of them, but I think I don't know where they went. I'm assuming they have all flourished. They were not by their bowl that I had them by, or the dogs ate them. Either way, they're in froggy heaven, I guess. And then there's a dog that's stalking my mom's house. So it's just been a lot of animals this week, which is fine. I mean, animals are good.
Animals are good.
Yeah. So let's talk about Into the Mystic, which is the name of a Van Morrison song. Van Morrison. And like I said, this is Angel number 1111. It first aired in January, so that was an 01. 27, kind of like an 11. 2016, then we lost it. It was directed by John Badham, and we last saw him his last season with the Hunter Games and the Things They Carried. And it was written by Robbie Thompson, who we did see this season already with Baby, and then he did a bunch last season, including Book of the Damned and Angel Heart. So we're going to start in County Cork, Ireland, and everyone should be scared that that accent is going to be coming out, and I think it might. So here we're going to go.
Yes.
So to Ireland.
30 years ago, we've got a guy puts on a record player. He's dancing in his robe to Will You Love Me Tomorrow by the Shirelles. And a woman enters and starts to scold him because they were putting the baby to sleep, but realizes that it's their song and that they're dancing, and the baby apparently likes the music. So the baby starts crying, and this man starts covering his ears and saying that he's hearing these, and we hear that he's hearing this screaming. And she's the woman, his wife or whatever, is like, hey, hold on. And she like starts like making a potion. And we're like, what the fuck, as the audience, and as I was. And then he wants the sound and the screaming in his head that apparently she cannot hear to stop so badly that he starts bashing his head against the wall to the point of passing out.
Yes, it's very disturbing.
It goes from a very cute scene to a very distressing scene very quickly.
Yeah, and then they have this scary-looking spirit lady thing with fire in her throat, and then she comes over the man, and then the woman screams at the spirit thingy to, like, get away from him, and then she gets flung, and they do this great job of fucking her up with all these cuts and blood. Like, it was just a very good, like, just, like, small cuts, like, that all were over. Just, like, so good.
A lot. Yeah. Yeah, and then this weird, like, this, I call her specter monster chick, as I think is what my description was. And she has this crazy long tongue, and she's going after the dude.
Baby!
And this woman, the woman who's, like, bleeding on the floor with all these tiny cuts, grabs a piece of glass, slices her hand open over her potion bowl, and the blood drips in and makes the monster chick disappear.
Yep. And then she says it'll be okay to the baby. Then she dies, ?
It's a very distressing scene.
Yep. And we go to the title card. From that distressing scene to Sam Winchester not sleeping in the nude, having a guilt dream where Lucifer is telling him that while Dean was in purgatory, he was fucking around with a girl and a dog, and now everyone has to die.
So Sam goes to clean guns.
Like you do when you can't sleep. You got to do some maintenance.
Yeah. Dean finds him and wants to know if he's okay because he hasn't left the bunker in days. But no worries, Dean has a case.
Yeah, and it fits him because he's in his old dead man's robe, right? And he is like, I have found an old folks' home. But there's a man, his head was bashed in, the doors were locked, but it's only 15 minutes away. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And Sam's like, so, but what about the darkness? And what about Cass? And he's like, we got nothing on Amara, and Cass is always fine. So let's go.
Yep, cool. All right, so we're going to, now we switch from there to a park, and that's where Cassifer is, and I checked, and that is the official fandom name.
Okay.
And so, yep, and he's sitting on a bench enjoying the day, and I'm just like, why am I so much more attracted to Misha Collins when he has the devil inside of him? Just Sam.
Well, he fed the ducks too. So, I mean, I get that. That helps. And he's watching the kids on the playground from the bench, which is creepy. But another dude in a suit sits in a bench nearby. And this looks like a very angel-y dude in a suit sitting at a bench because it is an angel-y dude. So, Cassifer goes on the nature walk trail and is followed. Yes, it's a fucking angel. And couldn't believe his eyes when he saw it. And Cassifer's going on about how beautiful things are in the world and how peaceful it is, and that he just wants to beat the darkness, and that he knows they tried and they couldn't, so he's have to save them all.
Right. And this place is a very pretty park, and it's in Burnaby Central Park. It's a 90 hectare urban park in Burnaby, British Columbia, and it was founded in 1891, and it's on the Vancouver-Burnaby border, just west of the metropolis at the Metrotown shopping complex. So you can go hang out in this nature trail and see the place where an angel tried to stab Cassifer.
Yeah, and then Cassifer just snaps his fingers and makes it explode in a cloud of blood.
Yeah. Although before he does that, he does call himself Lucifer Ex Machina, which I thought was great. And also drawn and moleculed. Is that a good description for what he did to him? Because he turns him into little molecules things, right? So, so we go from there to our retirement center. Living
Oak Park Retirement, and we've got Wonderful Wonderful by Johnny Mathis playing as Sam and Dean pull up.
Sam has opted to part his hair down the middle. No.
And as they're walking in, they're commenting how nice this place looks, and Dean's like, man, this could be a nice, retirement, and maybe we need to make a reservation. And Sam's like, what are you talking about? Because that would involve us living that long.
Yes, but I would think that committing insurance fraud to get some long-term health care might be right up Dean's alley. So this sounds like something they could be actually doing right now, as a finding a place. If they didn't have the bunker, I could see Dean running a scam at a retirement home for him to be living there. All right, and so they meet the director Arthur, who said that he'd heard Harold yelling inside his suite to get it out of my head, along with a bunch of banging, and he got his pass key to get into the room. And so while he's describing this, Sam's gone into the room behind the crime take, and it's just covered in blood. And it's really gross. And it's just, he's running EMF and it's kind of going off, right?
Yeah. It's going off weekly, but it's consistent.
Yeah.
And and Arthur's telling Dean that look, I checked the security on the locks. No one went in or out of there. So I don't know. And this, a woman resident walks by, Matilda, right? Goodness. Mildred. Jeez.
Wow, my God.
Wow. Matilda. All the names. Mildred. God. Yeah. Mildred walks by to say hi to Arthur and is definitely got her eyes on Dean.
She's very pleased to meet him, and she's very saucy. And we learn all these sad things about sad face Arthur. And sad face Arthur had his wife dumped him by text via emoji.
Rude. How rude is that?
That doesn't seem. I feel like you had not a real bride. So he sent her an emoji, and that probably wasn't the right thing to do. And
because he sent her a poop emoji, not a heart emoji.
Right.
That was his choice in response. Yeah. And so Dean starts kind of just he's playing FBI, but he's like, oh, what about the signs of ghosty stuff? And Arthur's like, what are you talking about?
You still can't work that into a conversation, Dean. No. But drama, Harold has quite a few enemies.
Yeah. And so Sam and Dean meet back up to discuss. And Sam has a pile of pill bottles because Harold was stealing other residents' Viagra.
A real dick move.
But wait, there's more. Sam also noted that the EMF was going off on all the floors because too many people die there. So
people die there every fucking day, which is why this file should be a lot bigger than it is. But so Dean's like, I have the files of everyone who's died here, and it's 5.
Well, yeah, and it's recent ones that ones that knew Harold, and one specifically was Jack, who also hated Harold, or Jake. God, I'm terrible, and I broke that down right there too. Damn, Jake filed a complaint against Harold because he was stealing his pension checks. Harold was a fucking dick.
Yeah, we don't like Harold. I'm kind of glad you died. Right? So, yeah. And so they're like, maybe Jake is the vengeful spirit. And this is why I actually know it was Jake, because I was making fun of his name in my notes. I was like, oh, stay away from vengeful Jake. I'm so scared. Vengeful Jake is coming after me. I also have a cousin named Jake, and he just, like if he became a vengeful spirit, I would not be afraid of vengeful Jake. No. Anyhow, so we go from that to the natural habitat of the Winchesters, and that is a graveyard digging a grave while technically it's Sam digging a grave while Dean sits on a cooler drinking beer.
Yes. And while that happens, Dean is going to ask Sam, who's digging, about what he meant about make that comment about not being able to retire because they wouldn't live long enough. And Sam's like, I thought you're the one that always wanted to go out in like a blaze of glory with Bon Jovi playing.
Yes, preferably while that song is playing. That was really good. Yeah. But he's like, are you okay, Sammy? And Sammy's like, you know what? Being around Lucifer kind of triggers some stuff for me. Shocking, just kind of imagine this. I went through this like super serious torturous hell thing. And then like, I kind of went and saw the guy in the cage and then like, it stirred some stuff up, It's
weird.
Right.
But I don't want to talk about it.
Of course not, because
I don't want to talk about it. Yes. And so all Dean has to offer is that Lucifer's not getting out of the cage and you're not going back in.
Jinx, jinx, jinx.
So let's burn these bones. And Dean's pretty stoked about closing this case. He thinks that they've done it and they're rah. Back at the retirement home, Arthur is in the lobby and I'm gonna say it wrong now. I've said all the different names. Oh my gosh. Mildred walks by and he starts hearing the screams in his head that we saw.
Oh no.
And the lights start flickering and she can't hear the screams, but she can definitely see these lights flickering. And then she can see the monster ghost specter chick in the hall.
Yeah, the scary woman from before. So Arthur's just losing his goddamn mind. Well, Mildred's just begging him to tell her what to do.
Yeah.
And then Arthur just starts bashing his head against the window. Mm-hmm. The woman creature flies down after he falls out, apparently to feed. And she's like, look at my dress. It is fabulous. And it just like flows behind her as she feeds. It looks really good. As Mildred just looks on in horror and screams.
Yeah, as she eats his head.
Mm-hmm. I'm numb.
So the next day, we've got Mildred telling Sam and Dean about Arthur hearing the scream that she could not hear. And then the power went out. And then she knows what she saw, but she knows no one else will believe her. But she knows because she saw a ghost 10 years ago.
I know what I saw. This is not my first supernatural rodeo. I saw a ghost. Nobody believes me, but I know what I saw. I know what I saw. But luckily she has finally found her right audience for her tales. And she is so much safer with Agent Osborne, RIP, looking after her. So much safer.
Yes. And so Dean's going to reassure her and they're going to hold hands. And as that's happening, Sam's starting to notice this housekeeping chick who seems to be kind of trying to eavesdrop or watch them across the room. So Sam wants to hear what Mildred Baker saw. And she describes the woman with long flowing hair and red robes and sunken eyes, and that she was feeding on Arthur's head. Sam steps away and goes to talk to the housekeeping woman, Marlene, who he discovers is deaf. And she apparently was not working the night before, and she was not working the night that Harold died. And so he does some light signing, and she is very appreciative.
Yeah, well, he does not sign thanks. Like, he thinks he signs, he actually signs the word fuck. And that is something that Jared and Shoshana came up with together. So, it is cute. And it's really funny. They don't bleep on, with hands. So Sam and Dean then chat about how it's not a ghost because ghosts don't feed on heads. And Sam is going to check with the coroner to see if anything was missing from Harold's brain. And Dean is hoping that they can get their Walking Dead on. But the house cleaner is reading their lips. Duh, because if you could read lips, what the fuck else would you be doing with your goddamn time? Yeah. Except reading everybody's lips.
Everybody's lips.
Yes.
And she sees them talking about a feeding. Sus. So, Sam goes and talks on the phone to the coroner, and he has the word that part of Harold's frontal lobe was missing.
And that's interesting, right? Like that she only was eating the frontal lobe. And so the frontal lobe is where you manage your thinking, your emotions, your personality, your judgment, self-control, and your memory storage and muscle control movements. A lot of things happen. Like I'm just pointing to like somewhere in my head. I'm like, somewhere in here is a
right
lobe.
in there.
I've got a lobe in here.
You do. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So Dean's response: banshees.
What? And Sam's like, hold up, I thought banshees were good. And Dean's like, well, those that are tied to fairy lore are, but these guys, they're total dick bags. And so he hands him this tablet. And Sam is looking at the Ancient Origins site, which is still up but has a different picture on it. And Dean describes how the banshee screams, forces the victim to crack open their head so like their meal is prepared, which is smart because that way she doesn't have to mess up her nails. Or her dress, getting like all the brain gooshies over is like, you just do it for yourself, and then I just come in and politely eat, you know? And so he says that the victims are the only ones who can hear them. They travel through mist and they prey on the vulnerable. They only hunt at night and they can be killed with the gold blade. So how much of this is true? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about lore. Not looking forward to researching banshees. One, I was very much traumatized by the banshee in Darby O'Gill and the Little People as a child. I refuse to watch it to see if it's still terrifying, because I bet it is. Two, I also thought banshees are kind of boring. I mean, a woman screams and then someone dies. Woo! But once I cracked the old internet and 22 pages of notes later, I did find out some cracking stories about the banshees. Irish things I did there. So the word banshee, I also was not looking for this because of fucking Gaelic and the Irish. So the word banshee comes from the Irish an banshee, which looks nothing like it sounds because they don't like vowels or how making things phonetic. And so it translates to the fairy woman or woman of the fairy mounds or woman of the other world. She's not quite a psychopomp, but she is what somebody called a supernatural death messenger. Title of my next album. All right, so she straddles the world of the living and the dead. Her message of death often comes as wailing, screaming, or crying. She prefers being alone and outside. If she comes near a house, though, then all hell breaks loose. Often her visitations are accompanied by other haunting phenomena like lights flickering, sounds, tapping, knocking, etc. So she's got a whole bunch of different names all over, mainly Ireland, Scotland, kind of, Celtic, So in Southern Ireland, she is known as the I was going to say that, or the washing woman, as she sometimes appears at streams washing clothes as a warning of a person's pending death. Sometimes she is seen washing the linens of the person who is about to die, which I think is nice because everybody likes clean sheets, especially if you're sick, right? They just feel good. So this is from J.G. Campbell's 1900 article, Superstitions of the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, so blame them for what I'm about to tell you. In Mull and Tyree, she is said to have preternaturally long breasts, which are in the way as she stoops at her washing, and so she throws them over her shoulder. Whoever sees her must not turn away, but steal up behind her and catch one of her breasts and put it in his mouth. He should then call her to witness that she is his first wet nurse. She answers that he has need of that being the case and will then communicate whatever he desires. He can then tell her to continue washing if the shirt is that of an enemy, or tell her to stop if it belongs to a friend or family member.
Do they have to say all that with the tit in their mouth?
I think so. So, addition to that, Campbell goes on to say that in Skye, which is the land of my people, that she is said to be squat and not like a small, pitiful child. In the Highlands, she's said to be small and round and dressed in green. And by moonlight, she spreads the linen of those about to die. And if you want to catch her, if you get in between the linen and the stream, then you can control her and make her do your bidding, which basically is that the banshees know like when you're about who's going to die when, right? Okay. So if you catch them, then they will tell you like basically your future. There is a Scottish variant, the Weeper. There's a Gaelic name for that. Not going there. That was often heard but never seen. She is said to have been there the night the Campbells slaughtered the MacDonalds at Glencoe in 1692, a very famous Scottish battle. Other descriptions of banshees include, so there's kind of like variations on her, right? Sometimes she's ugly, sometimes she's beautiful. Sometimes she's dressed in a white cloak with red shoes and long white hair, often combing her hair with a red comb. Sometimes she's a small woman with long golden hair and a little plaid shawl. Sometimes she's a small woman dressed in red. Sometimes she's a beautiful lady with a more flowing hair. Sometimes she's a tall, thin woman with long brown hair, with a red dress, with a red cloak covering her head. So lots of variations, just basically a woman. She could be tall, she could be small. She got long hair though. Likes to brush it.
They all agree on that.
They all agree. Yeah. So, and one I read somewhere that was interesting because like a respectable Irish women always had their hair up and covered. And so like there was some implication too of the hair being down. Just you kind of what it says about her as a being, whatever. And also like she's often associated with that comb. And there's a lot of stories about the fate of those who steal her comb or just find it. They also often talk about how she's got this powerful grip. And Bettina Kimpton, I love the name Bettina, she sounds like a Muppet. Bettina Kimpton tells the imprint of the Banshee's 5 fingers in her article, Blow the House Down, quoting the Banshee and women's place. So she says, Thomas Hart's uncle was coming home late from his, I looked up this word, I looked at how to say it in like 5 different Irish dialects, and I still don't know. Cuillard. So Thomas Hart's uncle was coming home, and he came in near his home, and he didn't see there was a woman, right? He sees a woman. He thought it was some neighboring woman that he knows. Over he goes, and he claps his hand on her shoulder. The very minute he did, she raised her hand and caught him by the crown of the head and lifted him clear up off the road. And she hit him down against the ground again, but did not kill him. He got a terrible fright, and may God bless us and save us all. When he got up in the morning, the print of her 5 fingers was on top of his head, and his hair has turned as white as snow from the dent of the fright. So I think the story of that is don't touch strange ladies, or they're going to pick you up by the head and beat the shit out of you. Like, just don't touch women you don't know.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I call this next section why it always got to be the English. All right, and so in Limerick, Kilkenny, and Tipperary, she has another name that I won't say, but it still starts with ban, but that's also known as the keening woman. So keening was a Gaelic Celtic mourning ritual in which women would wail over the deceased bodies during a wake. They would scream, cry, beat their chest, pull out their hair. And the English thought that this practice was barbaric and a sign of Irish inferiority. This, along with the resurgence of Irish Catholicism in the 1830s, contributed to the practice of keening becoming rare, but it's still something that is very much associated with the banshee, right? There is also part of this legend that only the quote-unquote pure Irish could be warned by the banshee. This section comes from Delaney Mars in an article for Smithsonian Center for Folk Life and Cultural Heritage. One of the Hussies, now their name is spelled Husseys, and I know that's not pronounced Hussies, but that's what you're getting called.
We're going with it, yeah.
So one of the Hussies in the town of Dingle was dying. As always, the banshee began her crying. On her way to the house of the dying, she passed through John Street, lined with small houses, whose families were thrown into a fright when they heard her, mumbling to one another, "Is one of us to die?" The banshee paused her crying and spoke to them in verse. "Listen, listen, you hoarding traitors, you are not in danger. A banshee has never keened your kind." She resumed her keening cry, and in the morning the news arrived: a hussy had died. So the hussies, though, is an
It's a dead hussy of Dingle.
There's a dead hussy in Dingle.
Okay.
So I think you write that one down. So yeah. So the hussies, their name though is actually an Anglicization of a older Irish name that starts with an O, and I can't pronounce. And so they are among those often. So these older Irish people are the O's and the Macs, right? Okay. So the O'Connors, the McDonalds, the McGruggers, the whatever, the people of the freckles. And each name of these old Irish lines has its own, is supposed to have its own banshee that serves it. So like each family has like their own particular one. And like I said, they're supposed to be solitary creatures, but there are stories of like some of the banshees like commanding other banshees. And not to be forget that she's a banshee, and she really means fae. It's fairy, right? So having the idea of like
fairy godmother,
yeah, so she's like a fairy queen. So they've often like the banshees have often been like fairy queens as well. So her having like a banshee who could be in command of other banshees, like okay, that actually kind of makes sense, right? Yeah. And they would like all have names, and like one of the O'Brien's banshee in County Clare, her name was Ava or Eva. So when the English arrived and took land like the English do, in an attempt to fit in, they too would be like, I have a banshee. And I'm like, sure, Richard, like you don't have your own fucking banshee, Richard.
Everyone knows you don't have a banshee.
Everyone knows it was screaming outside your window. You can pretend like you're hearing it, but no, Richard, we know. So they also think that there's a theory that the connection to the Irish family lines may be a way to try and reconnect to Irish sovereignty, as they would only come for those with like really deep Irish roots. And also it's a majority of the appearances were for the senior male members of the household, which was really emphasizing that patriarchal line of the last name, right? So we're coming from I was going to say the McGuires, but they're McGuires. So, but I'm coming from the McDonald's, right?
Right.
So
there you go.
There are some exceptions to the Irish family only rule. One is said that a banshee may lament those who were gifted with music and song, particularly those who sang for Ireland, right? And again, this goes to the nationalism part, or also just those who are being super Irish. And wearing a Kiss Me in Irish shirt will not cut it. Like you have to be like doing something super hardcore for Ireland for the banshee to sing for you. There are some theories that the banshees, like where they originated from, that they could be the spirit of a woman who lost her family tragically and forever mourns them. So a woman of white situation. Or there's also a belief that she could be the result of an unbaptized child who died and basically became a soul caught in like purgatory.
Purgatory, yeah.
But also, like I said, she's a fucking fairy. So why you gotta say she's like that? Why you gotta do that? So last thing that was of kind of what one of the traits that Dean listed, freaks come out at night. Some accounts say that she appears at midnight the night before a person dies. Other, it's the two lights in the evening. But it's basically that in between time, the witching hours, either like between 3 and 4, that type of stuff. So she don't like the daytime. She's a nighttime girl and she doesn't want to be around people. So yeah, I'm more pro banshee. I mean, the long like throwing my titty over my shoulder and having somebody suck it while they try and get. I don't know about
while you wash their sheets
while I'm doing their laundry. I mean, so that is the story of the banshee. And somehow the titty part didn't make it into this episode of Supernatural, but
no.
There's always the reboot.
Oh man. Well,
all right, so back in British Columbia, but back in Oak Park, Dean is driven off while the cleaner Marlene watches him drive off, and we're going to go from there to the bunker.
Yes, because he's got to go get gold blades from the bunker, because that's the one thing that he didn't have in Baby, apparently. So he gets there,
and if you had a go bag for banshees, then you would just
if you need a banshee specific go bag.
Yeah.
Well, so he hears a noise and has to search the bunker and finds Cassifer, but he thinks it's just Cass because he doesn't know, making just a fucking mess in like the card catalog room and like files. It's messy.
Yeah, this is also not the first time this season, or maybe last, where they got into the bunker and then were surprised. And like, I know this is pre like Nest cameras and shit, but you have got to have like some 1940s like security camera system.
Something.
Can you not see, like look at this before you start blindly walking down a hallway? Because it seems really dangerous to be walking down a hallway blindly.
And isn't this place like super like guarded with like sigils and shit? And isn't there like only certain ways you can get in? And like, I don't know. It's very questionable. But whatever. So
fix your security. We don't like your OPSEC, Dean.
Terrible OPSEC. So Dean calls him out, and Cassifer is apologizing, but he is looking for a spell to call Amara out, but has been unsuccessful in locating one. And comments that he had her in his sights when she was injured, and he should have ended it then. And Dean's like, I can relate. Saying kill her is one thing. Doing it is actually something different. And Casper's like, wait, what do you mean? And he's like, wait, what? And Dean's like, well, I've had like 2 shots now and I just couldn't do it. I don't know.
And Cassifer is just trying to, like, he's like, wait, what is he doing? Like, and I love watching Lucifer try to figure out what the fuck has happened. And but without, like, and he does it so well that he's just like, well, why don't you tell me everything?
Yeah. And, pour your heart out, Dean. It's just me, good old chaos.
Cry on my shoulder. I'm just like the old days. So while that's happening, we go to Oak Park, where Sam has gone into Mildred's room, and she just wants to know where Dean is.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's you. But we notice a poster on the wall behind her, and it says it is a Patsy Cline tribute band playing at Green Hall in Texas. Yay! And we find that's what Mildred used to do. Which is really cool. And she talks about it again, but we get that little tidbit about Mildred right here.
Yes.
And Sam's like, BT Dub, we are not actually the FBI.
Yeah, they decide they're going clean with Mildred. Mildred gets to be let in on the secret. All right, Mildred, here you go.
Here you go. He's like, we're brothers that hunt monsters. It's just like, so like, I don't know.
And she takes this so well. And she's like, I knew ghosts were real. I knew what I saw.
And you're too cute to be FBI.
No.
And he's like, okay, thanks, BT Dub. How does this look like what you saw before? And she's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I saw. And he's like, that's not great news, because apparently you have a heart thing, and so now you're vulnerable, and it's coming for you next.
She has an arrhythmia.
Yeah.
How does that make her vulnerable?
That's the most vulnerable person in this retirement home. Are you kidding me?
And she's like, and you can take medication for it. Like, you just like, it's just a heart. Like, it's not
weird.
No, okay, but that's what they think.
Yeah.
So they also like, Sam's like, remember, the banshee only hunts at night, so we got this time that you can take a nap.
Yeah, and we're totally gonna protect you, and it's fine. And he's like, also, by the way, do you know that deaf housekeeper chick named Marlene? And she's like, Marlene's on vacation. I don't know who you're talking about, but it'd be really cool if there was a deaf person working here, because I want to practice, because I've got a grandkid.
Yeah, she's got a grandkid who's deaf, and she wants to practice her signing. So out in the hallway, Sam goes looking for quote unquote Marlene, who is now doing an excellent job of dodging him. And she's just like, you can't see me. And then he follows her into the laundry room, where apparently there is a new thing we have learned.
Yeah, there's sigils on the wall. And she is going to use one to pin Sam to a giant washing tank.
Yep. And so this is a Celtic sigil, and we now get to see not just the flinging, and I was thinking about this. So not only have we got to experience some excellent flinging of people this episode, but now we also get to witness the gorgeous acting of Jared Padalecki of, I am pinned against a tank and I cannot move my arms, but I keep forgetting I can move them. Sometimes I move my arms, but I'm pinned against a machine. or the tank, and it is, I think, they're the finest supernatural acting time when they have to do that. So, but we also learn that, quote unquote, Marlene has misunderstood and thinks that they are the Banshees.
Yes, she does not believe. She thinks the FBI thing is a cover for kills, and she has her gold blade, and she definitely has never met a man banshee before, but she also definitely saw Dean reference feeding time.
Do you think it has to be a all the way gold blade or gold plated? Because I think a whole gold knife would be really fucking heavy.
Well, would it? I thought gold wasn't heavy. I don't know. Either
way. But with the gold bars, they always show that being heavy, right? I don't know. Slide into my DMs if you have a pile of gold and tell me how hot, how heavy.
Or you can just send me the gold and I can
send me a knife made of gold. Craft me a knife made of gold.
Send me. I just need a knife of gold. That's all. No big deal. Yeah. I mean, I'll settle for some more follows. But yeah, so he's like, no, hold on. We are hunters, not banshees. That's me and my brother. We're all hunting the same fucking banshee. Cut my hand. I'll prove it. And she cuts the fuck out of his hand.
She's like, shoot. All right, fine. I'll make you bleed. And then she's like, fine. And she frees him from the sigil.
Yeah, and her name is Eileen Leahy, and a banshee killed her parents. The ones from the intro.
Yeah, so we flash back and we get to see that also when that happened, that the banshee screaming basically busted her ears, and her ears are bleeding.
Yes, and apparently a hunter that was hunting the banshee found her and raised her and trained her until she was 15, and then the hunter got killed. And then now she just likes to work alone.
Because she has trust issues. I hear you. But then we also find out that her mom's dad was a member of this debunked organization. Oh my God, you're men of letters. I'm a men of letters. You're a men of letters. Oh my God, we're legacies. They have to let us in. We don't even have to rush. So,
and it was bid week for a lot of folks this week. So good timing. Yeah. So ta-da. So Dean is still talking to Casper while all this has been discovered. And Casper's like, oh, y'all are tied together and connected by the mark. That has to be it. And Dean's like, yeah, but it's also more than that. And yes. And Casper's like, are you attracted? And this is when they just kind of make eyes at each other for a minute because Dean doesn't really want to say it, but he obviously is attracted to Amara.
But Casper's like, but what if, am I supposed to be Cass attracted to Dean? So what am I playing here? What is my motivation?
It's a lot of eyes back and forth, and they're judging and they're not, and it's a whole thing, and it's attraction and connection, and it's attraction and connection with Amara, and it's a whole thing.
Can't resist it. Yep. And then Casper puts his hand on Dean's shoulder and he's just like, maybe it's a good thing. We can draw her out. And Dean's like, what's happening? And then his phone rings.
And Sam has called Dean and says, hey, go look up Edward Durbin II in the Men of Letters files. You got and they find his file right away. And apparently
thankfully this is not the part of the bunker that Lucifer threw everything on the ground.
Right. So they were actually able to find shit. Amazing. So Sam is now back in Mildred's room, and Mildred is signing and Mildred and Eileen are signing to each other in the background during this whole conversation. And it's really funny. So it's hard to bounce back and forth. So I'm going to go to their conversation first. So while Sam's on the phone with Dean, Mildred's signing to Eileen that hey, I've got dibs on the other one, meaning Dean, and you can take the tall one. I'm not a mountain climber anymore.
Yeah, so Mildred is a straight up hussy. And so Sam tells Dean about their plan is to use the same spell that Eileen used to trap him, and then they're going to stab the banshee. And Dean's just like, we can't use Mildred as bait.
Yeah, because he's sad about that now. And then apparently he's always had a thing for Blanche, and Sam had a thing for Sophia.
Which surprises nobody. And Dean then asks Casper if he can keep the Amara stuff between them. And he's like, and Casper, yeah, of course. And the next time you face her, they won't be alone. Oh. Oh.
Oh, good Lord. All right. So Eileen and Sam start prepping Mildred's room to trap a banshee. And Sam's trying to talk to her about how, like, well, I just know something about revenge and, like, you're not going to feel better. And what's your plan afterwards? And what are you going to do? And she's like, well, my mom was a lawyer. That'd be nice to follow in her footsteps.
And Sam's like, oh my God, I wanted to be a lawyer. You're Men of Letters legacy. You wanted to be a lawyer. Cute. Oh my God, we're the same.
We're the same. And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't be hunting if it wasn't for my brother. And my brother has my back even when I let him down.
Guilt, drink. Yeah, I'm sorry. At this point, I turned this into a drinking game.
Oh, okay.
And every time that, like, Sam had a guilty feeling, that I had to take a shot because that was the only way I was going to do this. Yeah, I'm a little drunk. All right, so Dean then comes in, and then, like, they do the secret legacy handshake.
You get a gold blade, and you get a gold. I'm just kidding. And so Mildred enters, and she's greeting, and she is going to go sit and talk with Dean because she wants to watch the sunset with him. I don't blame her. It's a lovely sunset.
It is. And she's just kind of hounding him too. Like, when's the last time, like, you just sat here to watch the sunset without worrying, like, what's going to go bump on the other side of it, right?
Mm-hmm. And he didn't even know, but he should try it more. And he hopes that this isn't, and she hopes that this is not her last one. But Dean reassures her and gives her very own gold blade.
Which is sweet. Again, how heavy is this knife?
And this is where she tells him what she did before she retired, and she was in a Patsy Cline tribute band.
She should have a TED Talk.
I know. I want to hear her TED Talk.
Because she's like, you know what the secret to a happy life is? And everyone's like, yes, please tell me.
Please share. Yeah.
And I almost wanted to call her Patsy. Like, tell me, Patsy. Well, tell me, Mildred.
Actually,
can you tell me as Patsy Cline?
Oh, that'd be even better. Yeah. Can we get a TED Talk of Mildred? Can we, like, go super meta on this? And, like, it's this actress who we'll get to in a minute playing Mildred doing Patsy Cline. That's what I need. Yes. Talking about the secret of life.
Talking about the secret of life.
Yeah.
And then, because, like, you can even get more meta because, you know, with Patsy's, like, plane crash and stuff, like, she became like, oh, there's so many ways we can do this. We have a new one-woman show for you, Mildred. Yes. Whoever, your actress's name, we'll give it to you later in a minute. Okay, so where were we? So she's got Patsy Cline tribute band, Secret to a Long Happy Life, and apparently is to be very horny. And based on what she's
is that what you got out of it?
Out of this episode, I believe the secret to a happy life is to stay horny.
Oh, well, it's following your heart and the rest figures itself out. She traveled, she met people, and she made people smile, and then now she's there and life's great. So.
Yeah, and her hand is on Dean's knee, and he's like, your hand's still there.
And she's like, I can slide it up.
Horny! So horny. All right.
Hey, can't blame a girl for trying.
No, I applaud. But then, it's not Mildred. The Banshee's like, I don't give a shit about your arrhythmia, Mildred.
Yeah, your arrhythmia is nothing. We're going to go after these guys that have way bigger problems.
I'm looking at people who is vulnerable in this place. Mildred does not. Mildred could lead a fucking army. Like, I have more faith in Mildred than anybody in the United States right now. So, all right. So it's Dean, of course.
Dean's
Dean is vulnerable.
Yep. He's hearing the screams. The lights are flickering, and our banshee is there, and she's disappearing and reappearing. And she flings Eileen. She gets cut by Sam. She flings him. And then Dean is beating his head against the wall, which is very hard to watch. Like, that
it's
whole
so
thing. All 3 times that we see that, or 4 times that we, no, 3 times we see it in this episode. Yeah. It's not. I'm very.
I also don't know, as an actor, like, how do you do that? Like, can you imagine, like, faking your head into, like, that has to be such a mind fuck, right? Like,
yeah, it's very upsetting. I don't like it.
Yeah. Okay. So, but of course, the one that we did not have to worry about is Mildred, and she's just like, I got this shit. Like, what did we have to do? I cut my fucking hand. Boom, bitch! I'm gonna sigil this.
And she does, and then the banshee gets trapped, and Eileen is able to stab them.
And then it just goes poof, and that's how the banshee goes away. Just poof.
Yeah, just going. Ta-da! So
Dean's very bloody, and Mildred wants to nurse him.
Yeah. Well, he looks pretty rough. I mean, that's distressing. So we cut the next morning, or daytime now, and Eileen and Sam are talking, and they discuss that she tells him that it does feel just like another kill. It doesn't have like some like big weight. It didn't bring her parents back. But also she's not going to go to law school because this is her life. Yeah. And he's like, totally get it. By the way, you should reach out sometime. She's like, sure, you can call me and I'm not going to answer.
And it was a very funny joke. Like, I want to hear you. So Mildred, though, is walking out with Dean. And then she's like, I know it wouldn't have worked out because you're clearly pining for someone else. Yikes. Oh, shit. Oh, no. What is happening? Ew. Dean, you like Amara?
Gross.
Ew.
You can't like her.
You're going to get darkness cooties. Ugh. So, and Dean just tries to place it off. He's just like, I'm single and ready to mingle. And she tries again. She was like, you can fuck me now. Like right now.
You are not. You don't mean that, sir. You don't mean that. And so they leave, and Eileen and Mildred watch as Mildred continues to objectify them.
Yep, and says something about their butts. Dirty, dirty, horny Mildred. And so then we go back to the bunker where Sam tosses Dean a beer. I need to go watch the gag reel for this season because I bet you anything like that scene had to take a few takes.
Yeah. And Cassifer is gone. But, they're not really worried. Dean's like, yeah, something seems off. But, something always seems off with him. So it's fine. No big. So Sam concedes that Dean was right, that being back on a job did help him. And by the way, I have taken the time to really, think about some stuff. And Lucifer's highlight reel of all of my failures really showed me that I should have looked for you when you were in purgatory, and I shouldn't have stopped looking for you. And I've never forgiven myself for that. I think this is growth, and I know it's a whole like, oh, okay, Sam's guilty, but I'm like, but he's actually acknowledging it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got to drink on that part.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we are actually going to have this conversation a little bit. You're having an acknowledgement. You're not asking for a deep thing, but you're sharing. I think that's something of note.
Yeah.
But Dean says, I've forgiven you, by the way. It's the past and it's done. And all that matters now is that we're together. That's all that ever matters.
So, Shut Up and Drink Your Beer. Title of my next country album. So, Sam says that he'll be able to sleep okay. And Dean's just like, I got some ringing in my ears, but some music's going to wash it out, right? And Sam's just like, why was that banshee going after you? Why are you vulnerable, Dean?
Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I don't know. I think I just got in the way of Mildred, and so it just went after me. No big deal.
And it's later, and they're getting ready for bed, and Sam is putting a brochure for the retirement home in his memory box. You can also see the wooden prop of Dean's amulet from Supernatural, the musical, in there as well, which is really sweet. And then Dean goes to bed with his arms crossed like a psycho.
And we've got Prison Grove by Warren Zevon playing, by the way, during this scene. And Dean cannot sleep.
Because he's sleeping like a psycho. What? Whose arms crossed? Like, that's not how you go to bed. Unless you're Dracula.
I'm trying to think if I've slept that way.
If you're very mad at someone. Like,
no, I think I've like
really
done like this.
I've
done like that.
Yeah.
Like arms up, like at my chin with a blanket, but not crossed or down to my side. I've done, which I know also is like
but
a
not
psycho.
This way. Yeah, this is not look comfortable.
No.
Sam puts his head on a pillow like a normal person.
He does. Dean does not. But yeah, that's our episode.
Yeah, and just like because Dean obviously can't sleep and he stares off in space, and that's how we end this. So you need a TV in your room, Dean. All right, so let's talk about all these awesome people who got to meet this episode.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
Yeah, so we've got Eileen Leahy's played by Shoshana Stern, and we are definitely going to see her again. Yay! She's been in episodes of ER, Lie to Me a few times, and Grey's Anatomy a couple times. She's Bonnie on the TV show Jericho, which was almost a couple dozen episodes of that, and then she was Megan in Weeds for over a dozen episodes. Mildred Baker was played by Dee Wallace. As you probably could guess, she has a very long career. She's been in episodes of Starsky and Hutch, Chips, Taxi, Murder, She Wrote, L.A. Law, Jag, Touched by an Angel, Nash Bridges, Felicity, Bones, Grey's Anatomy, My Name is Earl, The Ghost Whisperer, Criminal Minds, Law and Order L.A., The Office, Grimm, General Hospital, NCIS, and 911. She was Nettie in the 1975 Stepford Wives, Lynn in the 1977 The Hills Have Eyes, Karen in the 1981 The Howling, Mary in E.T., Donna in Cujo, Mother, she's the voice of Mother in Rockadoodle. She was Mrs. Walker in Here Come the Munsters, which was a colorized short release of the Munsters. She was Dennis Rodman's stepmom in Bad as I Want to Be, the Dennis Rodman story. She was Cynthia in Halloween in 2007. She was Marie in Jeepers Creepers Reborn. And then she was the Good Morning Transylvania announcer in the 2022 Munsters film.
Yes. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. Arthur was played by Jonathan Potts. He's been in episodes of Kung Fu, the 90s version, Degrassi, The Next Generation, Nikita, Suits, Designated Survivor, and Jack Ryan. He was a headmaster in Cruel Intentions 2, professor in Jason X, and then Mr. Gittin in Ginny and Georgia, which is a series on Netflix that I enjoy. He's been in over a dozen episodes of that. And then Nathaniel, I don't know how you say this angel's name. Anyways, was played by Anthony Shim. He's been in episodes of Smallville, Fringe, and Flash. He was also Jin in Star Trek Beyond. And our Banshee was played by Atlin Mitchell. Has a bunch of credits, hundreds of credits as a stunt person.
Yes.
So you may have seen Atlin as an actress in shows like iZombie, Flash, and C more recently, but most of her career is as a stunt woman. All the Twilight movies, Smallville. And I picked the ones that she did like a bunch of episodes or big films because it was just such a huge credit list. But Smallville, Mortal Kombat Legacy, Fringe, Deadpool 1 and 2, and the Predator film.
Yeah.
So
I love a stunt woman.
Yeah.
Wish I was taller. It was a stunt woman. Yeah. So is that our cast?
Yeah. That's what we got.
Yeah. So again, the cast was amazing. I think it was just ensemble wise was just
great ensemble.
It was a good ensemble. It was well written. And as much as I said, like, I don't not a huge fan about of the Banshee, but
she made you not hate the Banshee.
Yeah, no, it was, what did you think?
No, I enjoyed this episode a lot, actually. I didn't think I would, and it didn't. In some ways, it feels like objectively not as adventurous, but it was such a good Monster of the Week one. It brought us some great characters. It also had some character growth of our core characters, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think not a bummer, and dirty, horny Mildred just really carried the show through.
Well, it's always just like the tidbits, man, that just like really bring it home. And I love that.
Well, I mean, it's, it's the attention to detail and just also having really well-crafted characters. Because if you're pulling in some characters in that aren't going to be likely not going to see again. I mean, obviously, Shoshana but she's a hunter, it's.
But wait, I have accepted the fact that we're not going to see Mildred again.
Yeah, but I mean, but automatically you knew who she was. Like, you knew her, and it was just so, and you became, you loved her, even though it was just an hour. Like, oh, we're not going to see her again. So, and that just makes you enjoy the episode more.
Agreed.
Yeah. And also, it's always really funny when somebody objectifies the Winchesters. So I think on that note of objectification, I will say cheers to it.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, Or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.